Mantra number 7. Yasmin sarvani bhutani, Yasmin sarvani bhutani, Atmaiva bhut vijanatah, Atmaiva bhut vijanatah, Tatra ko mohah kashokah, Tatra kah mohah kashokah, Ekatvamanupashyatah, Ekatvamanupashyatah. Last time we saw Yasmin Sarvani Bhutani, to one, all beings, Atma Eva Abhut, have become self. Iti Vijanatah, one who knows like this. And Tatra ko moha ko shokaha. Where is a question of shoka and moha? The word abhut doesn't mean becoming. This is not a prakriya. This is something which you discover. This is a statement of fact, which is, and you discover what is. Okay? So, formally, when they say became, why formally it was anatma, whole world was anatma. Anatma means different from me, distinct from me, that the world is limiting me. I am limited because of the world. To that person, that was formally. When you say formally, that means before the knowledge took place. That's how he or she looked at the world. He or she looked at the duality as real. Please understand. After gaining the wisdom also, world would be different from you as from the standpoint of body. That it is really different, that is ignorance. Why it is really different, taken as really different? Because I am physio-psycho-complex. He or she thinks himself or herself to be physio-psycho-complex only. And since that is his or her self-identity, therefore, in his or her perception, world is distinct, world is different. To a wise man, as long as he or she has a prarabdha, he or she lives in this body, in this physio-psycho complex, so to a wise person also, the world will be different. But then, the wise person knows world is different because if I look upon myself from the physio-psycho complex, that identity of I from the standpoint of physio-psycho complex is incidental. Okay? Wise person knows it is what? Incidental, not real. Otherwise, takes it to be real. That's all the differences. How come wise person says it is incidental? Because he knows Swarupataha, by nature, I am consciousness. And as long as there is a prarabdha, while relating to the world outside, I have to relate from the standpoint of body-mind complex. Therefore, there is a difference. Like even for an actor playing a role on a stage, the other person, the fellow actor, is really another king and he is really fighting with another king. But to an onlooker, it looks real. They are really fighting. But dialogues will be like that, music will be like that. But then, even while seeing and talking, this actor knows that the difference is incidental. That we are two kings. My status of being a king is incidental, and being a king, I have to lose the battle. That is also incidental. Otherwise, this may happen like this Ram Leela story, typical Indian scenario. In those days, the villages, they will enact Ramayana, Mahabharata, and there will be troops traveling from village to village, and then they will stay in a village for a few days and play whole Ramayana or some part of Mahabharata or Bhagavatam, whatever. And when they play that drama, it so happened once this Ravana fell sick, the fellow who was playing the role of a Ravana. And then they needed somebody with big eyes and who can be made. So there was one Chandu Halwai. I mean, the fellow who are making these sweets and salty things and selling, typical vendor. They requested him that you please play the role of a Ravana today because our Ravana is sick and he cannot play the role. And he agreed, Chandu Halwai. And he was decorated with all dibbas and with 10-headed and came to the stage like Ravana and entered. And then he said, and the scene was that Hanumanji had burned his Ashok Vatika and Ravana's soldier had caught Hanumanji and brought to Ravana in his court. The Ravana was sitting on a big simhasana and Hanumanji was brought. And then Hanuman being original, he gave dialogue in the original style, Hanumanji style. This fellow got so frightened, he said, I am not Ravana, I am Chandu Halwai, let me go. Because he got frightened with Hanumanji. Yeah. So, actor would never get frightened. And if there is an incidental status that I have to appear to be frightened, because of Veda, that Veda will be there. As long as the drama is there, roles are there and Veda will be there. But you cannot, he or she cannot take it as real. So, Atmaiva Abhut Vijanata. So there is a Sarvani Bhutan. The difference is there at physio-psycho-complex level, and that difference of that Dvaita will continue. But the wise person knows that differences are incidental. Ignorant person takes the differences to be real. And that is why Vijanataha, this is not a process. This is a statement of fact. This is how it is. And that's when the discovery takes place. Then, if it is a process, please understand this. I was Anatma formally, and then I became Atma. Suppose somebody says like that. I was ignorant. This statement itself is contradictory. And through some process, I became knowledgeable. I'll explain these two statements in an same order. If you were anatma and you become atma now, that becoming is not possible. If you are by nature anatma, where anatma cannot turn into atma. Vastu cannot give up its nature. What it can, if it was anatma, it will remain anatma. No vastu can give up its own swarupa. One thing. So I was anatma because of ignorance and became atma because of knowledge. Here, there is no process. Why there is no process? Understand this important thing. The nature of the knowledge. The nature of the knowledge is what? When through the knower comes in contact with the object of knowledge through proper and adequate means of knowledge, knowledge is immediate. Knower comes in contact with object of knowledge to be known through proper and adequate means of knowledge, knowledge is immediate. Example, all of you are knower as of now. And let us say, you want to know, Swamiji, what kind of pen is lying upon your table? You have means of knowledge, eyes. The subject, the means and object is missing. Now I will show you the object, the pen. And moment you see that, this is permanent marker, blue color, correct? At least you may not know permanent marker or crayon, but it's a blue color. Something is blue. The top is blue. The bottom is white. That you know, it is immediate. What I speak, immediately you hear. When you bring something to your nose, immediately you smell. You don't smell after 3 days or 7 days or 15 days, unless you have corona. If you have corona, then you may not smell it now. Then after, hopefully, you get cured, and then you may know, oh, it was rose that I was smelling. The perfume was this particular flavor. That you may come to know later. That is a obstruction caused by corona, means your means of knowledge is not adequate. Therefore, I had used the word proper and adequate means of knowledge. Similarly, when you are studying Vedanta, the object of knowledge self is always available. The subject I is always wanting to know is there. And the means of knowledge is Shastra Pramanam. Knowledge is immediate. It is not process. Provided, you have to add a clause, you are ready for knowledge. Provided you are ready for knowledge means what? Provided you have proper mantahkaranam. The antahkaranam that is pure and focused, then the knowledge takes place immediately. So abhut, it is not a prakriya. It was Atma, and now it is discovered that it is Atma. To that person, ko mohaha, O kaha shokaha. Moha means to see an object as other than what it is. Moha, self moha, and there is a moha for the objects of the world as well. What is self moha? The self moha is person takes himself to be physio-psycho-complex, whereas he or she is Chidan. One. There is a self moha. The world is, you have moha for world also. The world consists of objects and beings, but they are looked upon as source of happiness and source of unhappiness. Raga, dvesh, that moha is gone. When there is self moha is gone, even before that, largely Vishay moha is gone. Why? Because there is a discovery that Vishaya's objects are useful to conduct my Vyavhara, but they cannot provide me the self, the happiness, whereas self is Ananda Swarup. Kaha shokaha, grief. Grieving takes place out of sense of limitation. When one looks upon oneself to be limited and wanting to be limitless and pursue certain things, and he or she doesn't get what he or she wants it, that time there is a shoka. The person is free from shoka and moha. Now, in the next mantra, there is the conclusion of, can say, this section. Okay? From mantra number 4 onwards, 4 to 8, Shri of the world, it is revealed. Now, why this is difference in a way, you can say, just little technical discussion, this is called Tatastha Lakshana. And all these mantras, and now it is talking about Swarupa Lakshana. What is the Tatastha Lakshana? What is Lakshana? Lakshyate iti Lakshana. By which the Vastu is pointed out, Vastu is revealed. Now that revelation of a Vastu is twofold. One, by connecting with something which is incidental, that is called Tatastha Lakshana. Traditional example they give is that, which is this person's house, in India, everybody is Google. You can ask. You can ask and nobody will feel offended where it is. And they will be too happy to guide you. And of course, that's a separate issue, whether they know it or not, but they will be willingly guiding you. This is how it is and this is there. That's a greatness. Mera Bharat Mahan, it is here. They will guide you. This fellow asked, which is the house of such and such a person? He knew this person lives in this apartment somewhere, but had forgotten the number. And it is not like the West, that the buzzer and then you have to let the person in, and it is all open. The apartment is walking. So he asked, which is the house, which is the apartment where this Mr. So-and-so lives? The other person said, do you see that balcony? Whole apartment balcony, all the floor balconies are here. Then he said, yeah, that was the one, the green, no green, where the red sari is hanging. He would say, yeah, the red sari is hanging outside. That is his house. He showed it. This fellow remembered that red sari hanging is my friend's house. And next time he came, the red sari may be hanging on some other apartment and some other floor. He cannot go by red sari. But at that time, in that situation, red sari revealed the house. Lakshana. That red sari, through that, revealed this is the house. But to say he is on 721 number, 7th floor, 21st apartment, then it makes clear. That's a Swarupa Lakshana. That is what it is. The incidental vastu may come and go. Traditionally, example is where the crow is sitting, that is that house. The crow may be sitting today and now at this moment. But that doesn't mean the crow will be sitting always there whenever you come. So, now, these are all tatastha lakshanas. From the standpoint of the world, it is told, tad dure, tadu antike, tadu antarasya sarvasya, tadu bahyasya sarvasya. That word sarva or sarvani bhutani, that sarva indicates acceptance of the world, whereas the world is mithya. So from the standpoint of the world, in connection to the world, Atma was described. Now, in the next mantra, 8th mantra, Shruti reveals the Swarupa of the sun. How it is, what it is. Okay? To say what is sun, when the sun is one, because of whom all the birds and animals wake up and start chirping and moving, that is a tatastha lakshana. But to say sun is nothing but effulgence and brilliance and light and heat and energy in the sky, that is Swarupa. This is what it is. So, now, ekatvam anupashyataha, it was said in the earlier mantra. One who sees oneness. Tatra ko mohka shokaha ekatvam anupashyataha. Even in the 6th mantra also, it was said, sarveshu anupashyati, anupashyataha. That one, the seer, the seeing takes place after the knowledge. Then the knowledge is gained in the feet of teacher. To that seer, what is his Swarupa? What is the nature of that Swarupa, seer, Vijanataha, that is being described here, revealed here in the 8th mantra. Look at that. I have to break even one line also because it is a lot of sandhi and words are little difficult. Not so difficult, but little. Saparyagat Chukram Akayam Avranam. Saparyagat Chukram Akayam Avranam. अस्नावीरं शुद्धं अपापविद्धं अस्नावीरं शुद्धं अपापविद्धं कविर्मनीषी परिभूः स्वयंभूः कविर्मनीषी परिभूः स्वयंभूः याथा तथ्यतोऽर्थान् व्यदधात् शाश्वतीभ्यः समाभ्यः याथा तथ्यतोऽर्थान् व्यदधात् शाश्वतीभ्यः समाभ्यः. Now I'll chant line by line. सपर्यगात् शुक्रमकायमव्रणम् अस्नाविरं शुद्धम् अपापविद्धम् कविर्मनीषी परिभूः स्वयंभूः याथा तथ्यतोऽर्थान् व्यदधात् शाश्वतीभ्यः समाभ्यः. This is Swarupam. Saha Paryagat. At the moment you understand the words, we'll explain after explaining the meaning of the each word. Paritaha Agad Paryagat. Paryagat means all pervasive. Saha Paryagat. Then Shukram. Shukram means effulgent or Shukram means pure. Here pure meaning is we have to take. Shukram, that which is pure. Saparyagat Shukram Akayam Avranam. No? Akayam. It is without body. It has no body. Means it's formless. Avranam. Vrana means wound. Avranam means it has no wounds. Okay. Avranam. Asaparyagat shukram akayam avranam. Again I'll read. Saparyagat shukram akayam avranam. Asnaviram ashuddham apapaviddham. Snaviram means without snayu, without any muscles, without any bones, nothing. Asnaviram shuddham. Shuddham means pure. Asnaviram shuddham. Apapaviddham. You know, we are untouched by papam, unaffected by papam. Means it doesn't have to experience or undergo dukkham or papam. It never undergoes papam. Asnaviram avranam rasnaviram shuddham apapaviddham. Okay. Kavir manishi varibhu swayambhu. Kavihi, all knowing, Krantadarshi, Sarvagna, one who knows everything. Manishi, Kavihi, Manishi. Manishi means what? The one who is a master of the mind. One because of whom the mind moves. That is Manishi. You can say ruler of the mind or master, because of which the mind is mind. Kavir Manishi. Paribhuhu Swayambhu. Pari, above or all pervasive. That which is all pervasive or that which is above everything. Paribhuhu Swayambhu, that is Swayambhu, which becomes or which has come into existence on its own. That means it is pure existence. Swayambhu, Paribhu, Swayambhu. Vyatha tathyato arthan vedadhat shashvatibhyas samabhyah. Vedadhat, he gave, he ordained, he allotted. What? Yatha tatyataha. You know, yatha tatyata means as according to karma phala. According to karmas and its phalas, according to what is to be created. What did he vedadhat? Arthan vedadhat. He gave yatha tatyataha arthan, padarthan vedadhat. Whatever karma phalas are to be created, karma phalas means situations to be created, objects to be created, jivas, bodies to be created according to their karma phala, that was ordained by him su swayambhu, to samabhyah, shashvatibhyas samabhyah, to creator means Prajapati, to Brahmaji. The Brahmaji was given the design to create. And the design was made by him. And the design was not arbitrarily made. Yatha tathyataha. According to karma phalas of the jivas to be born. That design of Srishti was given by him to Brahmaji, to creator. Now, suddenly Shruti as though changes the gear. So far it was talking about Atma, and now it says it is same Atma who ordains or who allocates to Brahmaji his or her, his duties, what is to be done. How the creation. That means Atma is Ishvara. Is not separate from Ishvara. Or my Atma and Ishvara's Atma is one. They are same thing. And my physio-psycho complex, my Upadhi and Ishvara Upadhi, both are mithya. Both are incidental. With that Upadhi, because of which Atma becomes Ishvara, and this Upadhi, because of which I become Jiva, and further, first of all, because of this Upadhi, you become Jiva. Jiva means I am a human being. And then from human being, I am Indian and American, South American and North American and Brazilian and Argentinian and Peruvian and a Chile fellow and all kinds of divisions. You know, that is there. But that self is told as Prayagad, Shukram, Asnaviram, Shuddham, Apapavidham, etc. And that self is non-separate from Ishvara. The self, yourself and Ishvara's self is one. Okay? Now let us look at further these meanings of all these shabdas, words. What is that? First of all, Saha Paryaga. Saha Atma, that self. Paryaga. Now, Paryagat means what? Pari Agat. Sandhi. E and A, little Sanskrit, okay? Simple to teach. Because we thought this sandhis and this conjoining the words and is a headache. That's how we felt. But it is simplifying our pronunciations. Sanskrit is a language, only language, in which what you speak, same thing you write, and what you have written, alphabets, all the alphabets are pronounced as they are written. National, Tionl becomes schnell, national. And sometimes it becomes conventional, national, and sometimes it has different meaning. Let's take a simple word, P-U-T, put, U-P-U-T. But you said P-U-T, it should become put, because first letter is P. You should pronounce as what? P-U-T. P-U-T, P-U-T, put, put, put. It should be put. But you said put. And C-U-T, it should be C-U-T, suit, suit, suit. Put, suit. But you say put, and here you say cut. Either it should be kut, mathu kut, kut, mathu kut. Beauty, if it is ut, u, if u is pronounced as u, and therefore put, put, the cut, put. Or if cut is cut, a, one simple a, then put should be what? But that's not true. Only in Sanskrit, each alphabet is pronounced in a word as it is. Two things. It is pronounced and as it is. It is never psychology. In English, the psychology, P, is silent. Never in Sanskrit. Nothing is silent. And it is pronounced as it is. Okay? This, how? Now, when two words are joined and you make it a sandhi. Sandhi is to facilitate your pronunciation. So that it becomes easy. Like this simple name, Indresh or Ramesh. There are two words, Rama, Ish. Ramesh is Vishnu. Ramayaha Isha. Rama is Lakshmi. Lakshmiji's name Rama. Her master, her Swami, that is Vishnu. Ramesha. Ramayaha Isha. Ramesh. Look at this. Now listen, just see. Now I have to make it little audio also. The video also. This is only audio thing, but I have to make it video also. Just pronounce these two words separately. Rama Isha. For example, I gave this much pause. Rama Isha. Now I am reducing the pause between the two words. Rama Isha. Rama Isha. Rama Isha. Rama Isha. Ramesh. See how it become Ramesh. Rama Isha. Rama Isha. Rama Isha. Rama Isha. Ramesh. Ramesh. Upa Indra. Upa Indra, Upendra, 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 Upendra. A and E when joins, it becomes A. That's how Sandhi takes place. Pari agad becomes Pari agad, Pari agad, Pari agad, Pari agad. Understand this? Pari agad, Pari agad, Pari agad, Pari agad, Pari agad, Pari agad. Pari is a suffix implying what? Paritaha sarvataha. Agad. The word is pari agad. Agad means it is gnanarthe or gatyarthe. It goes where? Everywhere. That which goes everywhere. That which is everywhere. That is called pariyagad. Self is everywhere. Sarva bhuteshu chatmanam. How it is everywhere? See, this is the problem. This is where our notions come into play. This is how we misinterpret the word. Those who work in diplomacy, they know how the words are misread and misinterpreted and conditioned. The society gets conditioned by these words. When you say it is everywhere, then you think it is something which is everywhere. Something which is everywhere means it is also a thing. That's how you think. It is a thing. That's how you think. That's not the answer. So everywhere, it doesn't mean that. What is everywhere? In everything. Sarva bhuteshu cha atma. Again, when you say it is in everything, then we think that this is a something and it is inside that. Inside rope, inside tree, inside building. That is again Vachyarth. What is the implied meaning? That is everywhere means it is not one of the things everywhere. Like you use this word everywhere to indicate that it is one of the things at all places. Like that McDonald board or that McDonald, that person sitting on a bench or its dustbin. Then if you say on that highway we had a McDonald and then we sat near that blue dustbin, then the fellow will say everywhere it is blue only. In all McDonald's, dustbins are blue, for example, if they are. So it is everywhere blue. That means you think in each and every McDonald's store, there would be a dustbin and it will have a blue cover or black cover, whatever. Similarly, we think Atma is everywhere. Then another thing, Sarveshu Bhuteshu Chatma. The self is in all beings. And when it is in all beings, then again another thing. Then there's a flash of light, flicker of consciousness. All these words they use to indicate the self, Dive deep within and see the divine light. There's something inside. That inside everywhere is not in this sense. Water is everywhere in ocean. Water is in every wave. That means it is the very substratum. It is the very basis. It is It is, because of which the other thing is. Water is, therefore wave is, therefore ocean is. Gold is, therefore bangle is, therefore chain is, therefore ring is, therefore earring is. The is, similarly, it is the isness which is everywhere, means whatever is, it is, and what you call whatever is only name and form. That is Paryagat. All pervasive. It is the substratum. It is that which gives, which lends the existence to anything and everything other than itself. Why? It is Upadana. By saying the word Paryagat, Shruti is saying self is the material cause. Only and only the material cause can be all pervasive. Like in this fabric, cotton is all pervasive because it is the material cause. In this, with reference to this tumbler, stainless steel is all pervasive because it is the material out of which it is made. With reference to table or a chair which you are using, and if happens to be wooden, wood is everywhere in table because it is material cause. No, a created vastu can never ever be away from the material cause, and material cause is everywhere with reference to the creation for which it is material cause. So Saha Paryagat, it implies that it is the material cause of the entire creation. What? Saha. That. Which that? When you say that, it is always contextual. That means what I talked just before in previous mantras. That Atma. What I revealed in previous mantra, that self is the very substratum, is everywhere, is a Upadana Karanam of the entire creation. Which, please repeat, Swamiji, that Atma which I taught. Atma means I. Sada Pote. Maganlal Jethalal Shah, Sada Pote. That's Sada Pote lage na sahi kare that. That I, that little fellow is the cause of entire universe. It is you. It is not enough that I know that I am Satchidananda. You have to know that this Satchidananda I is Jagat Karanam Brahma. I am the cause of the entire creation. I am not small felly. I am the fellow because of which all fellows are there. Substrate. Paryagat. It is all pervasive. All pervasiveness is possible only when it is material cause. Saparyagat Shukram. Shukram means effulgence. That which shines. Shine or effulgence is not in a sense of light. When we think of effulgence, light, again, the consciousness within is divine light. Divine light. You will have divine experience. These are all statements. Jumbo jumbo statement, numbo jumbo statement. It doesn't make any sense to anybody. It just inspires the tone and all that. Doesn't make sense. Shukram, effulgence, means what? It reveals itself. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibha. Na tad bhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam. That consciousness which is self-revealing. You don't need an agency of sense organs. You don't need agency of sunlight or something, a voice amplifier to hear the voice, something. It reveals aham, self-revealing fact. It is. And that Brahman, which is Jagat Karanam, is Shukram, self-revealing. Self-revealing also. Then it says, Akayam. Akayam means there is no kaya. Kaya means there is no body. It is devoid of any body. Though apparently residing in a body, it has no body at all. Okay? It appears to be residing in the body. It has no body itself. When they say no body, means I'll connect you to Tattva Bodha. Sharira Traya Rahita. It is free from gross, subtle and causal body. Devoid of ignorance and devoid of ignorance karyam. Effect of ignorance. Nothing can touch. Avranam Shuddham Ashariram and Avranam. Vranam means there are no wounds. That means there is nothing else to give me some hurt pain. It is not possible that you can hurt Atma. In Gujarati they say, it is Atma bahut dubhayo se. Maro Atma bahut dubhayo se. My self is very much hurt by your such statements of your conduct, etc. Self can never ever be hurt. You cannot hurt the self. Not physical, psychological also. Hurt is felt. Modern life is psychological, and that hurt is not to the self. That hurt is to only and only to mind, physio-psycho complex. Self is never hurt, self never dies. Nobody can hurt me. Very beautiful thing, it really happened, which I would like to narrate you. When Paramatmananda went to ashram to study, he happens to be my Purvashram brother, who is a sannyasi. And I was working, we were quite close. So he was in ashram. In those days, telephones were not there much. There was only one phone in Puja Swami Dayanji's kutia. And you have to call and request, can you call him? And then Swamiji would call that person. And there was one public phone near the ashram gate, but that was sometimes working, sometimes not working. More often not working. And then even if it rings, the watchman should pick up and go to the students' hostel and call, and that never happens. So, and I had a telephone at home. So one day I had called him at night. In those days, tariff was very high. So after 10, it used to be cheaper. So I called at 10. After 10. And never knew Swamiji. And I never knew that the phone was in Swamiji's room. And then Swamiji called and he picked up and he said, yes. No, this is there. And I said, no, I don't want you. I want him. I told his name. He's not here. I said, call him. And then Swamiji said, he's a little far. Just wait, I'll call him. And then you call after some time. But then at night, 10 o'clock, generally nobody is around Swamiji's kutia in those days. And Swamiji was alone. And then finally he called some servant and he went there and called him. In between, I had called. By the time Paramatmananda came to his kutia, I had given a call. Then I said, is he there? He says, no, he has not come. He should be coming any time. Then I said, please call him urgently. And when I put down the phone, he came. So he waited in front of Swami. He had only one room kutia. And Swamiji was studying and reading, and he was new to the ashram. He felt a little uncomfortable to sit in front of Swamiji and all that. So he just said, Swamiji, I'm going, and I think phone will not come. I thought it will take more time, so I delayed the calling. So when I called third time, he had just left. Swamiji just called him, and then he was outside. He shouted and called him and then talked. But he was very curt in replying. How are you? Fine. This. Then, after some time when we met physically, I said, why were you so curt at that time? Then he says, this phone is in Swamiji's kutia. Yeah. Oh, then I had heard Swamiji, but then I knew him. And I said, oh, I disturbed him. I think I should apologize. He said, don't go and tell this. You may apologize, but don't go tell this. I said, why? He says, when this happened, listen this statement. There's 3-4 times calling and not getting, and then getting, and Swamiji going and calling and all. So after putting down the phone, he said to Swamiji, Swamiji who had a reading glass and he was reading like this. And he said, Swamiji, I'm sorry I disturbed you. And Swamiji looked at him like this. You think you can disturb me? He said, nobody can disturb me. Understand? That is called avradam. Nobody can hurt. Just remember this. When you get hurt, at least tell yourself whether you own it up or not, that's okay. Day in and day out, we get hurt, at least from the spouse and children. And of course, let me tell you one thing. At least after so much of time, there is one thing positive about Donald. That is Corona. One thing positive about Donald Trump, that Corona is positive. You get hurt. When you feel hurt, remember, self is unhurtable. I don't know whether there is a correct word or not. Just remember, I am that. Why do I take it so seriously and why do I react so badly? It cannot. Nobody can disturb. The hurt is at the level of mind, and whenever you are hurt, it is only because of your values, your insistence. This should be like that. And that person thinks it should be just the otherwise. That's hurt. Remember, I am unhurtable. Nobody can hurt. And we'll see further tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.